Now just before you continue watching this video, please note that I do talk about major spoilers from Marvel Studios' Avengers Endgame. So if you have yet to see the film, then I'd highly recommend that you click off this video and go see it as soon as possible, because it is hands down the must-see film of the year. What's going on, everybody? It's Game Unboxing Reviews here, and welcome back to another LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2 video. So in today's video, I'm of course going to be showing you guys how to make a Red Skull from Avengers Infinity War using the in-game customizer. Now just as a heads up, this design is actually based on the official Stonekeeper Funko Pop. Anyway guys, without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so to start off with, we're of course going to be making the appearance. So first up, what you want to do is you want to head into the head section, and you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom until you find Red Skull's head, which is of course this piece right here. Now then, I find that when you watch Avengers Infinity War, Red Skull's skin color looks to be a much darker red as opposed to the way that it used to look in Captain America, the first Avenger. So personally, I much prefer going with this darker red for this custom character. Anyway, once you've done that, you're of course going to back out of there. We don't need a neck piece, a hair piece, or an attachment piece, but we do need a helmet piece, and that is of course going to be the hood in black. Now then, for the hands, you're going to go to both hands and make them dark red. For the body, you're going to scroll all the way to the very top until you find Electra Noir's, which is of course this piece right here. And for the arms, you're going to be choosing two separate pieces. So for the left arm piece, we're going to go with Inferno's, which is down the bottom here. And then for the right arm piece, you're actually going to go with Forbushman's. Now then, for the hips, I just went ahead and matched them with Electra Noir, so we're going to go with that one. And then for the legs, I would say this is optional because there's a lot of pieces like this in the customizer already. But if you have the Black Panther movie character and level pack, then I'd highly recommend that you go with Eric Killmonger's legs for this custom character. And finally, for the appearance, we of course need to add a cape. So you can either add Corvus Glaives, who is a character that is included in the Avengers Infinity War character and level pack, or personally, I much prefer the tattered cape in black, of course. Nice. Now then, onto the abilities. So first up, we of course need to give Red Skull some passive abilities. So to start off with, I decided to give him Techno Access, Crack Lego Walls, Fixed Hits, and Super Strength. Now then, on tap square, we're of course going to add the ability to fight, and we're going to leave hold square and tap circle and head on into hold circle, because of course we're going to add the explosion attack ability. So you're going to turn that on. Make sure that you go with explosion style 1, which is of course this one right here. For the damage type, we're going to go with a heat explosion, and for the color, you're of course going to go with black. Nice. Now then, onto the X button. So on double tap X, I would absolutely love it if we could give Red Skull the ability to levitate, like you of course see him doing in Avengers Infinity War. However, the option to give him such an ability is just not available in this customizer, which is a real shame, obviously. However, the next best thing to levitation is of course flight. So I would highly recommend that you give your custom Red Skull this ability in this game. Nice. Now then, onto the passive traits. So for the health icon, I'm going to go with orange as a nice little reference to the fact that the Red Skull is obviously the keeper of the Soul Stone. For the health type, we're going to go with standard health. For the voice, just choose any male voice. For the speed, go with default. And then for the target reticle, we're going to go with this black one right here. Alright, cool. So we've done the appearance, the abilities, we don't need any weapons, and we've of course covered all of the passive traits. So now all we need to do is name him and choose a background image. Now sadly, there's nothing like Vormir in the background images that are available, so instead we'll just go with Hydra Empire. And then for the name, we're of course going to name him Red Skull. Nice. Alright, cool. So now of course what we're going to do is drop the Red Skull into the hub world and see just what he can do. And here he is! This is of course my custom made Red Skull from Avengers Infinity War, made in LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2. Let's just get a good look at him right here. Now believe it or not, but I actually started making this design pretty much as soon as I got back from seeing the film last year. And then of course over time I started to refine it once Funko officially revealed their Red Skull Stonekeeper pop. But I've got to say, I am so glad that I can finally showcase this thing to you guys already, because I am extremely happy with the way that it turned out. Anyway, enough chit chat. What can he actually do? Well, not a lot really. I mean, obviously of course he can attack with melee combat, which is great and all, but he can also perform this ability, which I have to be perfectly honest, doesn't really serve any purpose. I mean, yes, of course it does damage enemies, but the main reason that I decided to give Red Skull this ability is because for one, he can levitate, which he does a lot in the movie, and two, he performs this ability where he shoots smoke from his hands, which I think is really cool, because if you watch Red Skull in the movie, you'll actually see that there is black smoke around him as he's levitating. So I just thought that explosive attack would be a nice little reference to the way that he was in that film. As well as this, of course, we've got the ability to fly, which yes, he doesn't actually do in the movie, 3D, but if you want it to feel more like levitating, basically what you want to do is position the camera down like this, do a little jump, and just before you hit the ground, press X and you'll start flying, and then slowly push the analog stick forward, and look at that, he's actually levitating just like you see in the movie, which I've got to say is really cool. And finally, of course, for the abilities, we have super strength, which is obviously down to the fact that he has the super soldier serum. Now, when I originally made this custom character, I came up with this really cool idea if TT Games were ever to make a Lego Marvel Superheroes 3, which, let's be honest, like Thanos, is probably inevitable. So basically, the way this would work is, let's say for example they made Red Skull a playable character, which is obviously very likely because he has been playable in all previously released Lego Marvel video games. And this could be any version of Red Skull, from the classic one from the comics to even Hugo Weaving's from Captain America the First Avenger, which, to be perfectly honest, would better suit my idea anyway. So the way this would work is you would press triangle, or you'd hold down triangle as Red Skull, and he would pull out the Tesseract. And what would happen next is basically exactly the same as what happens in Captain America the First Avenger. It would appear as if he is melting with this big beam of light around him, and instead of being teleported to Vormir, he would actually reappear as the Stonekeeper. So you would see he has the hood and the cloak and everything, and he would have all these different abilities. I just think that would be a really cool way of giving us two awesome versions of Red Skull. So for one, with the normal version, of course, he would have a gun and a bunch of Hydra related abilities, and then two, with the Stonekeeper, he'd be able to levitate. He might have, you know, some abilities to do with the Soul Stone. The possibilities there are endless, and I just think that would be a really cool callback to both Avengers Infinity War and, of course, Avengers Endgame. Just as another friendly reminder, I am about to talk about major spoilers from Marvel Studios' Avengers Endgame in this section of the video. So again, if you haven't seen the movie, then please click off the video right now, because you do not want this film spoiled for you. Now, Red Skull's appearance in Avengers Infinity War was arguably one of the best moments in that entire film. I mean, the great thing about that straight away was that you could all just go, yes! You know, for the people like me who've been saying for years that Red Skull wasn't dead, it was so satisfying to see him on Vormir as the Stonekeeper of the Soul Stone. I mean, that's just such a cool idea, to take that character from phase 1 and go, yes, this is his purpose now. And I love how they made him a changed man too, how he was completely different to the way that he was in Captain America the First Avenger. And what I thought was really impressive was, because I remember when I first watched the movie in the cinema, I was like, whoa, they actually got Hugo Weaving back? Like, I was really surprised, because Hugo Weaving, I believe he said quite recently that he probably wouldn't reprise the role of Red Skull if they asked him to. So instead, who they actually got was Marquand from The Walking Dead, and I didn't even realize that was him. I had no clue. I just thought that was Hugo Weaving. That's how good his impersonation of that character was. I mean, he absolutely blew me away. And then, of course, he also popped up in Avengers Endgame, which, you know, I don't think was as surprising, because with the way the story was going, they kind of had to go to Vormir to get the Soul Stone, so that made a heck of a lot of sense. But still, it was so cool to see Marquand actually reprising his role as the character yet again. And what's interesting about that character now is, obviously, he has given someone the Soul Stone twice. If we forget the whole time travel thing for a second, obviously, you know, at first he gave the Soul Stone to Thanos after he sacrificed Gamora, and then he gave the Soul Stone to Hawkeye after he sacrificed Black Widow. But if you recall back to last year, there was an interview with one of the Russo brothers, and they basically explained now that Red Skull has done that, he is free to leave Vormir and do whatever he wants. Now, I don't know if that means that he was teleported back to Earth or wherever he originally was in Captain America the First Avenger, but it's interesting that they said that, because that makes me think that might not be the last we've seen of Red Skull. And seeing as how Ross delivered such a fantastic performance, I think it would be a waste to just leave him there, because I think it would be really cool to see that character again. I mean, who knows, maybe now that Steve Rogers has made Sam Wilson the new Captain America, perhaps that gives Marvel Studios a good enough excuse to bring back Ross to reprise his role as Red Skull as one of Falcon's many new antagonists. Now, while that would be extremely cool to see Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson in the Falcon Captain America suit as he takes on Ross's version of Red Skull, I highly doubt that is going to happen. And the reason I'm saying that is because, like I said at the beginning of the video, you know, Red Skull in Avengers Infinity War, he really seemed to be a changed man. I honestly don't think that he would be fully behind the whole Hydra cause or anything like that anymore. I think if he was put back down on Earth, he'd probably do something completely different. Maybe he wouldn't even be interested in being a criminal or even being a hero for that matter. Perhaps he just wanted a normal life. I mean, who knows? The thing is, if they do bring back Red Skull and he's not evil, I'd be very curious to see where they would take that character. It's quite exciting to see where Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to go. And if Red Skull has anything to do with it, then that would be very exciting. But obviously, of course, you know, coming off the aftermath of Avengers Endgame, I think we're definitely going to see Sam, you know, adjusting to the whole now I am the new Captain America thing in the Bucky and Falcon Disney Plus series. I am super excited about that, and I was already, but now knowing that Sam is the new Captain America and that probably being the focus of that series is pretty exciting, because that basically means that yes, you know, Bucky's in it too, which is great. But I think that basically means that it's going to feel like Sam's very own movie, you know, his journey to become Captain America. I don't really know much about that version of the character, but I'm excited, you know, I think it's really cool to see that they took Sam and have made him the new Cap, because I was expecting it to be Bucky, but I think it does make a lot of sense for it to be Sam. Anyway guys, that's pretty much it for this video, so I want to thank you all very much for watching. Stay tuned for lots more videos real soon, and as always, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.